Hey guys, it's Sign here with HobbiesofaMan. Once again, today we're going to be doing another Conan issue review. We're going to be looking at Conan issue 6 by the same team as before. No changes to this one. They are going to switch back to Rob de la Torre here soon. I think there's 2 more issues of Doug Braithwaite, and then we move back to Rob. But I'm not sure how I feel. I think I'm excited for Rob to come back because I don't really like the coloring for this part of the story. But I do think that I'm gonna miss the detailing that is there in Doug's art style, right? So my thoughts on that are kind of mixed. I'm not really sure how I feel about it. Honestly, I think ultimately I would have preferred for them to pick one artist and stick with it, but I understand that it's a very difficult thing to do, especially when, you know, these artists probably have other things that they have to do, right? And they need breaks and rest and the ability to disconnect from these long-running series, right? So I understand why it was done, but I would have preferred if Rob was the only artist, right? But that's neither here or there. Let's actually talk about the issue here. So it opens on Conan and Belit, or Belit. I'm not really sure how to pronounce her name, honestly, but I think I like saying Belit, so that's what I'm going to say. And he's reminiscing on their love, and mostly he's reminiscing on the fact that he has known experiences. He has had situations where someone has come back from the dead, and come back from the dead in like a spiritual sense, right? And so this leads right into the specters, these green beings coming out from the stone, attacking all of them around here. Eventually, one of the members of Conan's crew at this point throws silver powder, which very good, but also, damn, that is such a waste of a precious material, which is exactly why it probably counters these specters, right? But it sucks that he wasted so much powder, so much silver specifically, and the silver powder actually manages to keep the specters at bay for a moment, and this moment is enough for Conan's team to escape. And so they do. They manage to go into another area of the temple. They come across Bel's priests, which is a problem because the priests are definitely interested in killing them for their own purposes, not necessarily related to the specters. But so what happens here is that Conan is fed up and he decides to just go on a savage berserker rage, basically, and kills all of these priests before anyone can move. And he actually scares his teammates, although he also attracts the attention of Chandra, or Shadra. I can't remember her name. Chauda, something like that. I think it's Chandra. And this comes back later in the story, right? So we get to see Conan murder these evil priests like no one's business. Very cool, very interesting. And then the specters manage to catch up to them, and so we get to see them battle anew one more time, right? So, yeah, something about Conan stops them. I think they can sense the amount of death that clings to him in some way, and they respect him. And I think it's because of his previous knowledge or interaction with the Black Stone from the first arc, manages to stave them off. And so they decide to leave. They just up and disappear. And then Conan and the other thieves move on somewhere else. They meet with their employer, and they have to force the issue because he wants to not pay them since the stone actually doesn't have any power to it anymore. So the reason he wanted the stone initially was because it was full of power, this power of this dark being, I think is what was said, or maybe it was some sort of a god or wizard character that the guy was interested in. But because the specters were unleashed, the energy is no longer there, and so the employer does not want to pay for it. However, Conan forces the issue. He almost murders him, and actually the guy actually says something about Conan as well. I think he recognizes the same thing that the specters did, which is Conan has something about this energy around him as well. It almost feels like the Disney Hercules movie where he goes into the river Styx and he kind of dehydrates, and then he comes back when he has his godly aura with him. It almost reminds me of that in the sense that Conan dove into this river of death, basically. He was kind of infected by this miasma that is part of this river. And so now when he comes back out, he has this like aura, this thing that clings to him, and that's what they recognize. But I'm not really sure, honestly. It might be interesting to ask Jim Sub about it, but I'm not sure that I will, because, you know, some mystery to the stories is good sometimes, right? So then Conan and his crew use the money they've earned to basically live it up for a bit. They all get drunk, they all get whores and go into brothels and stuff like that. And eventually, somehow Conan ends with the Chandra character that I mentioned earlier. And they spend the night together. However, I think Conan is still melancholic about Billet at this point. And so when she asks him if they want to do it again, basically, if they're going to continue on with this arrangement, he basically doesn't say yes. And she kind of gets upset. She's about to make a move on him. And then something happens and she actually basically becomes like a zombie type character. And so we get to see a return of the things from the first plot line. And I think that was a really good way to end this chapter here. So, yeah. Mentioning the artwork again, I'm used to the artwork now. I actually enjoy the amount of detail and the way that it's detailed. I also really love that Conan's eyes are very strikingly blue in this art style, right? And this coloring. But I really still don't like how the colors interact with each other, how the book looks in general. And I think that's just because of the rendering style just not suiting my preferences. I don't hate it. Obviously, I'm not going to stop reading the parts that are by Doug Braithwaite and this particular colorist. I'm just not as hyped for these issues as I was for Rob's, because I really love Rob's artwork, right? And so there's nothing wrong with it per se. It's just not really my style. And so I think I'll stop harping about it, but it is something that is noticeable and that obviously is part of why I may or may not enjoy these issues, right? So yeah, there you go. That's my thoughts on Conan. Let me know what you guys thought. Let me know how you guys feel about the artwork. Do you agree with me or disagree with me? You know, what do you think about it in general? So yeah, there you go. That's it. I hope you guys enjoyed, and see you guys later.